From how it was built to the importance of the wall today, join me as we explore facts and historical points about the Great Wall of China. Number 9. The Great Wall of China's popularity. Fun fact: the Great Wall of China originally wasn't one long wall. It actually was sections of a wall that were eventually filled in to become one great long wall that we now know of today. Furthermore, the wall that we know of now isn't the same wall per se that was started with, as this wall has been upgraded, remade, rebuilt, and enhanced over the various Chinese dynasties. There was even completely separate Great Walls that don't exist anymore, but this one does. Widely hailed as one of the most impressive feats by man, the Chinese initially built the Great Wall of China to help ward off raiders and invaders to the north. As their nation and empire grew, so did the wall, to the extent that as of now, the wall is over 13,000 miles long. It is so big that it is one of the few landmarks you can see from outer space. Naturally, people go to the wall not just for the view, but to walk upon it and see just how far it truly goes. It's attracted all manner of people from various nations and even a president from the United States in a historic moment. Millions of people come to see the wall, which isn't too hard when the length of the thing allows you to see it from various places and angles. 8. The building of the wall. So as we teased, the Great Wall of China wasn't just something that was made in one city, or even by one group of Chinese people. It's a massive project that took over 1,800 years to make in full, with many people coming together one after another to add on to it and more. Also, as noted, this wasn't the first wall that the Chinese built themselves. In fact, throughout the course of Chinese history, you'll find that walls and barriers were the go-to defense mechanism for them to try and defend against the invaders that they knew were coming. This eventually led to the start of the Qin dynasty, ruled over by Qin Shi Huang. He had captured a whole bunch of places within China, and to ensure that he could defend them, he built a 5,000-kilometer wall. This was meant to defend his territory as well as to keep a lock on what was his. This was the first true part of the Great Wall of China. But as I stated, this wasn't the end of it. As more and more dynasties came to be, they kept the wall up and then added onto it, sometimes to continue the reach of the wall and other times to just improve upon it. The Ming dynasty is one of the dynasties that are most credited with the completion of the wall. This is because of how the wall looks now and how it is kept together. Which brings us to the other misconception of the wall. If you look at it from above, the Great Wall of China looks like one long snaking wall, but that's not exactly true. It's interrupted by various things, including buildings. It is connected, but it's not like regular border walls where there are a continuous line. Rather, it's a network that spans 20,000 kilometers and is broken up by buildings, towers, and more that help connect them. It's still an impressive feat, no doubt, but it's not exactly what everyone says that it is. And if you actually look at the shape of the wall, you'll see all the different angles that the wall turns in. A singular wall would be much straighter. Number 7. The wall's construction force. Given the nature of the Great Wall of China, you would be forgiven for thinking that various townsfolk and soldiers and such were responsible for the bulk of the work. And to an extent, that probably is true. But not unlike many other massive monuments in the world today, back then, the main force of labor were slaves and criminals. Not unlike the Colosseum of Vespasian, where over 10,000 slaves helped build that monument. But for the Great Wall of China, it was the criminal element that really helped make the wall what it was, including in the days of the Qin dynasty, where the wall got started. It was dictated that the wall construction, maintenance, and surveillance were all punishments to be carried out by criminals. The ironic thing here is that when it came to the various crimes that would have been dealt with via wall duty, it was a very wide net. It didn't matter if you were a murderer or someone who just didn't pay their taxes on time, you were sent to the wall. Now, to be clear, there were regular builders, workers, and civilians on the walls, so to make sure that everyone knew which was which, all criminals would have their heads shaved, their faces blackened, and would have their limbs put in chains. You might be thinking, why were they so bent on putting criminals on the wall? Did they not have jails or something? That is one way of thinking about it, but what you need to know here is that building the Great Wall of China was dangerous work. So the Qin dynasty decided that if they were going to have people die on the wall, they'd rather it be criminals. Sure enough, it's believed that over 400,000 people died while working on the wall. 6. Do you want rice with that? Without a doubt, One of the reasons that we marvel at various monuments like the Great Wall of China, the Colosseum, and Great Pyramids of Giza and more is that they're still around for us to admire today, despite being thousands upon thousands of years old at times. For the Great Wall especially, this was a project that took place in parts over 1,800 years, unlike others that took place in one area at virtually one time period. So how is it that the Great Wall of China still stands? Part of it is because of how it was built, but apparently there was also a secret ingredient that helped keep the wall up: rice. No, I'm not joking with you. When it came to the mortar that they used to help keep the bricks and stones that comprise the wall together, they would put in a special kind of rice called sticky rice in the mix to help seal everything up. But whether they knew it or not, they also made it so that the weather and other elements wouldn't be able to chip away at it, as the thing that made the rice sticky also made it so that the stones and mortar were more resistant. And you thought rice was just tasty. Before we break down more facts about the Great Wall of China, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. That way you don't miss any of our weekly videos. Number 5. The Rooster Crow. Okay, so you remember a little bit ago when I mentioned how there had been about 400,000 deaths on the Great Wall of China during construction? Well, when you basically kill that many people via labor, accidents obviously not intentional deaths, that means that there are going to be a lot of people in mourning over the course of its construction. What's more, the Chinese at this time were very superstitious about what would happen to the souls and the spirits of their family members because they died at the wall, to the extent that they honestly feared that they would be trapped within the wall for all eternity. Not a nice way to stick around, am I right? So, the government decided to help ease the pain and fears of the locals by doing a certain tradition. When a death happened at the wall, a man would walk across the wall with a rooster in his hands. The rooster would crow, and that was believed to be a sign or a message to the souls and spirits of the departed that they could leave the wall and go to the afterlife in peace. You might think that this is a somewhat odd way to please the dead and their restless spirits, but remember that animals in many cultures have power, and the rooster is one of the members of the Chinese zodiac, so it all lines up in the end. 4. It was predicted? Sometimes in history, whether we want to believe it or not, there are things that happen that seem to predict what will come in the future, such as texts from historical documents, the last writings of Nostradamus, and in terms of the Great Wall of China, a poem called the Shijing, a collection of ancient Chinese poems written between the 11th and 7th centuries BCE, well before the Great Wall of China was made. Within the poem itself lies an entry stating that a king would build a defensive barrier in order to ward off invaders. Now, to be fair, the use of small walls and barriers have been used for many ages, including in Chinese history. But the way that they talked about the barrier in the Shijing seems to point to this being about the Great Wall of China in some form. Sure, it's a coincidence, but it's one heck of a coincidence if you ask me. Number 3. A tribute. We already noted that one true purpose of the Great Wall of China was to keep invading forces out, right? But there was also a more subtle purpose to the wall that was added on later. Mainly, some of the buildings that helped connect the far reaches of the wall were built as temples and monuments to certain legendary figures in Chinese history. One of them was Guan Yu, a 3rd century general who served during the Han Dynasty. He is honored with temples built on the wall. There are also tributes to the 4 heavenly kings in the Buddhism faith, one of the prominent religions in China. This perfectly ties into the fact that China is a place of deep belief and tribute. And given the length of the wall, there are many other tributes and temples and places of remembrance for people to go and see as they walk along it. 2. China honestly didn't care about the wall until the 19th century. I want you to picture in your minds the various massive monuments of the world, regardless of culture and location. How much do you think these nations value those monuments? Depending on the place, it would be fair to say that they care very deeply for them, especially if they're a window into their history. But for China, they honestly didn't care about the Great Wall until about the 19th century in regards to its historical importance. Which I know sounds odd because of the many dynasties that helped make it, but in truth, they just didn't care because it wasn't doing anything for them right then and there. And by the 19th century, the Great Wall was just a wall, one that could be destroyed via explosives or bulldozed by tanks when the time came. It wasn't an effective means of anything except to get tourists. Because as the 19th century went on, they found that more and more tourists were spreading the word about the Great Wall, and they were making art of it and telling stories of it and on and on. When China realized there was a money-making opportunity here, they started to expand upon it. They would do tours, have art and trinkets to buy and sell for the wall, and on and on. So if you think about it, if it wasn't for the other nations, the Great Wall might have just been left to rot. Not something you'd expect for one of the modern wonders of the world, am I right? Number 1, it really didn't keep invaders out. So when you think of the Great Wall of China, you think about its length and you think about its purpose, especially when you think about the many movies and such that have talked about how the wall was supposed to protect China from all attackers. But that really didn't happen. The wall exists and battles have been fought at it and on it, but it honestly didn't deter that many people. Granted, there were certain nomadic tribes that the Chinese could easily defeat with their higher ground and their weapons, but when it came to forces like the Mongols, ones who could think very tactically and seize opportunities, it honestly didn't affect them too much. Sure, the height of the wall would ensure first responses and be able to allow first contact, but the wall actually isn't that high. On average, the height of the wall is about 20 feet, so if you were to bring ladders or even do human ladders, you can breach the wall pretty easily. To that extent, when Genghis Khan came around, he not only conquered the wall, he put his own people on it to help make sure that the supply lines of his army would be unharmed. Many dynasties, including the Ming dynasty, relied heavily on the wall and fell when it was breached by their enemies. Nowadays, the Great Wall of China seems more like a symbol of endurance than an actual military fortification that helped define the country, which in some ways makes the Great Wall of China one of the most ironic monuments in the world. I'm just saying. Thanks for watching, everyone. What did you think of these facts and tidbits about the Great Wall of China? Does this help give you a greater appreciation for the monument? Did you learn some things that you honestly didn't know before? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time on the channel.